Blog Talk Radio.
Alrighty, we are back. This is Stephen McCarthy from the McCarthy Project, and we have been discussing this idea of perfection or efficiency and how is it properly placed in the world of performing at your absolute best. And I am honored to have Coach Tom Black from Loyola Marymount, the women's volleyball team, as well as, I guess it's former sand volleyball. I was noticing on your website that you hired a sand volleyball coach. But
yeah, I'm still involved with both programs, though.
Okay, sounds good. But anyways, we've been talking a little bit about this idea of perfection and efficiency and how to really elevate performance. And like I was mentioning on the other side, we have seen a lot of young people that really feel that this idea of being perfect, as you would on a test, would lead to elite performance. And I think it really is kind of a myth. And so before we go into that little piece, give us a little bit of your background as a coach and kind of your general philosophy or outlook as far as how you would develop athletes.
Yeah, I've been coaching volleyball since 1997. I think just kind of went step by step. I was coaching high school, then coached junior college, was an assistant Division I men's coach, then an assistant Division II head women's coach, then now at LMU, and I'm assisting with the USA women's national team. So I've been coaching for a long time, and I've coached a lot of club volleyball also. So I guess one thing I'm grateful about with my path is just I've been able to, go step by step and see all the different levels the game has to offer. And I think that's helped me as a teacher.
Yes.
My philosophy, just so I don't lose track of the question, can you ask that again?
Yeah, it just kind of said a little bit of your philosophy as far as like, do you like more of a kind of the laid back players coach type philosophy, or you're more of like, hey, I'm going to come out here, I'm going to be the leader, and this is the word direction I want to go? Just kind of set your general how you kind of attack a team scenario.
Yeah, I mean, my philosophy is to do everything I can every day to be the best teacher I'm capable of being. So that's my focus, and that's my goal. So, one thing we believe deeply in is a growth mindset that started with the work from the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, who's at Stanford.
Gotcha.
And we believe mistakes are opportunities to learn, and that if you're pushing yourself to the edge of your abilities, mistakes absolutely must happen. So the role of the teacher is to help shine a light on the information that mistake is providing, and help the learner understand where they can grow and where they can go as a result of that mistake. So when you look at mistakes that way, they become gifts. And if the teacher is doing their job, then they're pushing their students, and lots of mistakes are happening in the classroom and lots of learning as a result.
See, that's interesting because it almost generally feeds right into the idea of being perfect, because you mentioned in there that failure almost is a must.
Not almost. Failure is a must. It has to happen. It's not almost. It has to happen. If your practice is going perfect, if your classroom, if there's no mistakes happening, then we're not pushing our students hard enough.
Yeah, fair enough. I agree with you completely. So anyway, now let's go into this idea of, this concept or this idea of being perfect. And if I am more perfect as an athlete, then I will be able to perform at a higher level. And then tie that together with the idea of fixing mistakes because they don't seem to be matching in any way.
Right. So kind of going back into the growth mindset. So there's growth mindset qualities and there's fixed mindset qualities. So a person with a growth mindset believes that mistakes are opportunities to learn, that basically everything in life is a series of skills, and if I work hard enough and smart enough, I can grow any skill or any ability within me. Where a fixed mindset would believe more that skills and abilities are fixed, and there's nothing you can do about it. So there's someone who believes in talent or innate gifts. That's more fixed mindset. So the cardinal rule of the growth mindset is learn, even if it means I look bad. So I'll just repeat that. Learn, even if it means I look bad. And the cardinal rule of the fixed mindset is look good, even if it means I don't learn. So look good, even if it means I don't learn. So when you start saying perfect, the reality is there is no perfect, and to kind of hypothetically, it's a contradiction in terms, but to hypothetically prove it. So you show a play from any sport, and you put 3 experts in the room and have them analyze that play, and just ask them, is that perfect? And what are the chances of all 3 of them saying that's an absolutely perfect play? So there's no perfect. Perfect is for someone else to decide. So as soon as you tell me someone's trying to be perfect, that tells me they're trying to please someone else other than themselves. So someone of a growth mindset is trying to fulfill their own values. I value my ability to work hard. I value my ability to learn. I value my ability to overcome obstacles over a long period of time. Fixed mindset is I value what other people think of me. So it's really important that other people think I'm great. It's really important that other people think I'm talented. It's really important that other people think I'm perfect, that word you used. So once you start doing that, things get really goofy really fast. And it's not about learning. It's not about learning anymore. It's about people thinking I'm perfect. It's about not making mistakes so I can cover up any deficiencies, right? Whereas a growth mindset would want to attack those deficiencies and get them stronger. So perfect is a really bad word in the in the growth mindset language, and I think it's really important as teachers that we teach them what mistakes do. And there's a lot of neuroscience behind it, that the brain responds well to mistakes. If you make a mistake and your response to that is to work harder and work smarter, your neurons are firing, you're creating new neural pathways, more skill is being developed, you're a stronger player than when you started. If you run away from those mistakes, you might feel good for that immediate second because you're not confronting it, but there's no skill being built and you're not getting better.
Let's come back to one thing you said in the middle of the process, because to kind of develop out why would somebody not want to be in that growth perspective is what would their motive be? It's almost like their motive seems to be a little bit, for lack of a better, kitty wampus. When you look at how you pronounce it.
I haven't heard that one in a while.
Kitty wampus? You got to come to Minnesota. You Californians guys are out there too far.
I got to wake up.
Yeah, sure, you betcha. Nah, just kidding.
Okay.
But anyways, when you talk about this idea of a fixed mindset, it really is about suppressing others to make yourself look better. And really the growth mindset that would seem
maybe.
Yes, no?
I don't know if it's that diabolical. I mean, because the reality is I do think there are people in this world that are 100% fixed mindset. But there is no one in this world that's 100% growth mindset. None of us are. And the more you dive into this, you can see, okay, hey, I'm really growth mindset in this area of my life, but I have big blind spots in this area, and I need to attack it. And I think the most growth mindset people that you meet are going to be looking for those blind spots in themselves all the time. So it's a lifelong pursuit, and it's not about. And again, if we think about it, it's like there's a time where I can be 100% growth mindset, then that's kind of almost trying to pursue that perfect notion again, which is total opposite of what growth mindset is. It's just about getting better and where can I get better and where can I attack my weaknesses and get stronger. So
now, one other quick question around the growth mindset. How do you, like you had mentioned this idea, what is your feelings around trying to set a role or a boundary for somebody? Do you set the boundary and then allow them to make the mistakes inside that boundary and then make that area in a growth perspective?
You're asking a really big question, so I just want to make sure I answer it right. Can you, the boundary, what are you talking about exactly?
But because when you think about a growth mindset, if somebody
right.
has the skill set of, like, say, they're an outside hitter and they
sure.
really don't have the ability to set.
Okay.
and they are making mistakes, just in the natural course of a game. They may have to set one time or something like that. And then they get focusing on that one particular thing because they are making a mistake. How do you kind of rein that in? Because you don't want that outside hitter being worried about whether they can set or not. And that's where I'm kind of wondering, where does the boundary lie in a growth mindset?
Yeah, you're talking about a lot of things.
Sorry.
I think a couple things. I mean, if you're dwelling on a mistake, I mean, those are the opportunities to become more growth mindset. So there's a lot of things you can do in the beginning of your season, in the beginning of your class, in the beginning of your business venture, whatever it is. Even as parents and kids, there's a lot of things you can do in the beginning to set an environment that leans more towards a growth mindset, and it's really important. Those things help, but once you get going, like what you're talking about right there is the nitty gritty. Like, how do you respond to mistake? Like, those are the daily interactions that happen tens and almost hundreds of times. That's where the rubber meets the road between the teacher and the student and how you respond. So basically, what you're telling me is a poor response to failure, right? I made a mistake. I didn't like the mistake. We can all relate to that, but now I'm dwelling on it, and I'm not attuned to the task at hand. I'm not moving on, right?
Okay.
So that's where we got to unpack that a little bit and teach it. So why I see you acting like this. What's going on? Well, I'm upset about that set. Okay, what can we do about it now? What would you do next time? Well, okay, I would finish better, higher. Okay, great. Next time you can finish higher. What do you want to do about right now? Focus. Okay, let's go. Let's move.
Okay.
It's just about unpacking that and moving on.
Gotcha. Now let's go a little step further, because now, in the kind of more elite levels like you are in college volleyball, what would you recommend to a 15, 16-year-old young lady that's wanting to be better and wanting to do really well? How would you kind of recommend that she starts down this idea of working through the mistakes and working them through a growth mindset?
Yeah, I mean, it's the exact same things that we tell our kids at OMU, that we tell our athletes at USA. We would recommend, if we're talking to a 15-year-old, I'd recommend the book Mindset by Carol Dweck. I think that's an absolute must. I'd point them to the Train Ugly website. I think that's an absolute must too. It's by Trevor Reagan. He's a good friend of mine. And then, we talk. There's a lot of science that when people understand how the brain works, they're 50% more likely to adopt a growth mindset approach. And then you get to work. Hopefully there's some mentor in her or his life, either a teacher, a coach, or a parent that can help with the support and the challenge through the process. And that's the most important. Again, I can't say it enough. This isn't pretty. This isn't easy. It's not like we expose ourselves to it and then everything just kind of falls in place. It's not like that at all. It's a daily challenge to get better. You're going to mess up sometimes. You're going to go backwards sometimes, but in the end, it's worth it.
Because I think you mentioned something that I think is critical is that failure. I use the word almost, but I agree with you. It is a must, and it is not a pretty process. I think sometimes the TV shows always the fun side, and when you hit the the big shot that wins the game, or the big serve that's an ace, or whatever it may be, and you see only that play, when you don't realize that there was probably, I don't even know, but say 50 other times you could have played the ball that game, and you've missed 49 of them.
Right.
And it really is a process.
That is I mean, you can't state that point enough, like how important that is. And I do think there's a lot of things in our society right now that we kind of have to combat in order to have this growth mindset. There's, basically saying there's a lot of lonely, hard work that went into making that shot that everybody got to see. There's lots of lonely hours that nobody got to see that went into making that shot happen. And I don't know how much we value that as a society. We value being on TV. We value having a lot of followers on social media. We value having a lot of awards. We value college scholarships. But I don't know how much we value that lonely work of making mistakes, picking yourself back up. That long process, and sometimes it takes a little while for obviously some kids are in environments where they've been taught that and understand that, but some kids really have to figure that out a little bit later. And I think that's one of our jobs as teachers and coaches, because when you can really understand that it's not about that shot, it's about the 6 months of work that led to that shot. And if I do 6 more months of work, I can have an even better shot next time. if you can embrace that process, you can really go somewhere great.
Interesting, because it almost leads for another show. I'd love to talk about your thoughts related to the nature versus nurture perspective. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's all nurture. That's my thought.
Yes, I'm a believer in that too, because I've seen. And see, this is the one part that and I'll kind of finish with this. I'll kind of lay some groundwork. Is I think there are the top 150 players. Okay, give it to them. They're there. They're 6'6". They can jump. They seem to not have to even think about it. They can just do it. They don't have to even do anything. You know what I mean? But then there's always the remaining players from 151 down that people don't realize that there's a lot of room in there. You can be almost as fast or almost jump as high, and you could still be better than that other person. And I think it's an interesting discussion when you bring in the idea of, like what you talk about, being efficient and having a growth mindset. You can grow from being 1,492 to being number 10.
Well, I can tell you one thing that I've learned. Whether you're in that top 150 or you're in the bottom 150, which no matter what group you're in, at some point, if you stick with it long enough, you're going to meet your competitive match. You just are. And if you're not able to handle those challenges, it's going to be a short ride after that. And I said it often, with USA, athlete A walks in. She's a 4-time All-American, 4-time national champion. And then athlete B walks in. She's a 4-time All-American, 4-time national champion. They get the same amount of reps. They get the same coaching. They're in the gym for the same amount, right? Athlete A lasts 2 weeks. Athlete B lasts 2 years. What's the difference? It was, their pursuit. Like, athlete A looks around and says, hey, all these other kids are 4-time All-Americans. They're 4-time national champions. I'm really scared. I don't know if I can handle this, right? And athlete B says, whoa, look at all these other great players. All right, let's do this. This will be fun. And it's a completely different approach to the challenge. So everyone's going to meet their match at some point. You can't escape it.
See, that's the beauty of it, because what are you going to do at that time? I think that's
exactly.
the actual, how efficient are you going to be when you meet your match? That's an interesting question of itself. Alrighty, well, we've come to the end of the time. It's amazing how much you could talk about in such a short time. But if people would like more information, or maybe you get more information about LMU and about what you're doing down there, where do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, our website is lmulions.com, and anyone can email me, Thomas, THOMAS .black@LMU, and I also have a Twitter handle if anyone wants to go on that. So yeah, they can find me there.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I look forward to hopefully having you again. I'd love to continue the conversation.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Cool.